Good morning and welcome to Wednesday's Trending. The show today is sponsored by Iconic Coffee. Head over to shop.iconic.com. Use the code trending for 10% off. There's a whole bag of news to get through today. I'm sure you've heard about the shooting in Manhattan. Blackstone executive and prominent member of a New York Jewish community killed in Manhattan shooting. Wesley partner, 43, was on the board of the UGA and involved with the Heschel School. Now, not a lot has come out about this other than the shooter themselves, but they shot themselves on the Freemasonic symbolic 33rd floor. All sorts has come out about this. Obviously, that's going to raise a lot of conspiratorial eyebrows at the 33rd, and obviously if you look at the word magic and combine all the letters with their numerical value, it comes to 33. So there's all sorts going on here. I don't think that's a coincidence, but what's going on? Blackstone, BlackRock are satanic symbols. We'll see. We're waiting for more to come out. So a mass shooting in New York City on Monday, which claimed the lives of 4 people, one of whom has now been revealed to be Wesley partner, 43, a prominent Jewish figure and mother of 2. It's horrific. The incident at the Blackstone head office in Manhattan saw an armed man named by the media as Shane Tumara walking into the building and opening fire in the lobby. He then got off the lift and went up to the 33rd floor, opening fire again, and then turned the gun on himself, reportedly in an attempt to target the office of the NFL. Now, they haven't told us why they think that they are targeting the office of the NFL. More will come out of this in the future, but the 33rd degree, Freemasons and all of this stuff, and the fact that this is obviously a Jewish publication, so they're going to talk about it. It's called the Jewish Chronicle. The lady who is of the Jewish faith that was murdered there, but I think there was a police officer murdered and another person murdered as well. By police officer, I mean security guard. So the surveillance footage showed him exiting a double-parked BMW just before 8:30 p.m., carrying an M4 rifle, then marching across the plaza towards the building. I mean, literally just open in daylight, walks across with a rifle, a huge rifle, and is allowed to go into the building. And I mean, who did not stop him on the way in? As well as 4 people confirmed dead, so it's 4 people, not 3. Others are reported to be in hospital. 2 of those killed are yet to be named, but one is known to be a security guard. This is a strange coincidence as well. The third was NYPD officer, so it was an officer, not a security guard, Didaril Islam. A guy called Islam was murdered as well. Their partner, who was married with 2 children, was killed as she tried to hide from the gunman behind a pillar. Absolutely horrific. There's pictures out there of the gunman dead on the 33rd floor of a building named after a satanic symbol. Now, there may be nothing to any of those connotations. It seems like a false flag that hasn't really kind of been stuck to the label. Again, false flag doesn't mean it didn't happen. Of course it happened. These poor people are dead. What it means is they'll try and label it as being the result or the response of someone else that wasn't really involved. So I'm surprised he wasn't shouting Free Palestine on the way in. I think that's what we were all looking for. I believe there was another story out there, very similar, in New York, where a lady was shouting Free Palestine outside of another building. So maybe it was something that didn't quite go through there. Perhaps they're not even connected. But false flag season seems to be about here. In working life, Le Partner was the global head of Core Plus Retail Estate and CEO of Blackstone Real Estate Income Trust, one of the world's largest investment firms. Blackstone said in a statement, Wesley was a beloved member of the Blackstone family and will be sorely missed. She was brilliant, passionate, warm, generous, and deeply respected within our firm and beyond. She embodied the best of Blackstone. Our prayers are with her husband, children, and family. We are also saddened by the loss of other innocent victims as well, including brave security personnel, NYPD. I mean, it's horrific. And at the top of the chain, we understand that people like this are just used as pawns. Doesn't mean they have to have anything specifically involved with any of this stuff. This could be just a rogue man who's angry at the NFL for a reason. maybe he bet on something that he couldn't pay off, and he thought that the game was fixed. I don't know. It could be as simple as that. So keep your eye out for this one. But everything's happening in Manhattan, New York, Brooklyn area. That seems to be a hotbed of where all of this madness is ramping up. So over here to the UK, Tommy Robinson has got himself in some hot water again. Now, there's two sides to every story. The strange thing about this one is when you watch the video footage, you don't see the actual punch itself. So Tommy Robinson, please seek to question Tommy Robinson in connection with station assault. Police want to question far-right activist Tommy Robinson after an alleged assault at St Pancras rail station in London. Video footage emerged on social media showing Robinson walking back and forth near a motionless man lying on the floor at the station. The clip does not show how the man ended up on the floor. The strange thing is the man is face down with looks to be a backpack covering over his head, which is convenient to hide his who he is. But what is interesting as well is that earlier on, Tommy Robinson posted on his own, I think X, a video of him talking to someone who sounds inebriated. Though it's only a video of Tommy's own face. He's got a big cut, I believe, on his forehead as well. Tommy does. But this guy appears to be hassling Tommy. Now, there's two sides to every story. I'm sure Tommy gets harassed everywhere. Doesn't mean I agree with many of his political statements. Of course I don't. But let's have a balanced view of this. He's filmed himself out in public, and he obviously seems a bit... I'd assume and this is an assumption, that he'd filmed that part for his own safety, because this guy in the background is clearly harassing him and talking to him, and he's inebriated. And I think Tommy says something, are you going to the station? Are you getting on a train? So, there's more to this story. This guy has followed Tommy to St Pancras and hassling him there. Yeah, there's no excuse for punching someone in the face. That will be dealt with, obviously, and that's a crime. You can't go around doing these things. But there's more to this story. It seems like that guy, if it is the same guy, and if it's not, it seems to be someone who's harassing him. But I believe that them two incidents are connected, and there's a reason why he's filmed that as well. Now, some people that work for his media company have come out and said Tommy hasn't just escaped the country and fled the country. He had commitments elsewhere to go and do interviews and stuff, so he upheld those commitments. Now, I don't know if that's true, but again, there's two sides to every story, and we will see. So video footage emerged on social media showing Robinson walking back and forth near a motionless man lying on the floor. The British Transport Police said officers had found a man on Monday evening with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. It added that a 40-year-old male suspect had boarded a flight out of the country in the early hours of Tuesday morning. Why he was allowed to get on the plane and disappear. I mean, come on. He's just punched someone in the head. It doesn't take that long for the police to get there and stop him. So there's obviously something else going on here. The conspiracy theorist in me says he's got a big interview with Brian Rose coming out. It's good publicity for that. I'm not saying that that is actually the case, but we look at all these things from all these angles. To me, it seems that he was being harassed by this guy, and it's legitimate. Robinson, 42, his real name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon, was contacted by a female BBC reporter for comment, but Robinson responded with a message that said slag, which is helpful. The BPD said its suspect was from Bradfordshire, but did not name him. I mean, you don't need to. You can see it from the video. It added that detectives were continuing to investigate the incident with the aim of bringing the suspect into custody for questioning. In the footage, Robinson walks next to the person lying face down on the floor near the stairs to the northbound Thameslink line. A commuter looks to be trying to stop him from moving around and calls for help. And there seems to be like security there, and one of the security guards is going, Tommy, basically, you've given me an hard day at work. Two station staff members then approach the person on the floor while Robinson walks up and down the stairs and shouts, he came at me, bruv. Now, we don't have the video footage from before then. It's very odd to have this video footage of just that incident. That seems to be something that someone from the public has sent in, but there'll be security footage all around there, obviously, so we'll see what happens. Before that, again, there's two sides to every story. He just can't seem to stop himself getting in trouble. I mean, the man's got children. He's a family man. In a way, you feel sorry for him because he's, he probably is constantly hounded. But again, you draw the attention into yourself all the time. Now, I do think that this guy, have a look at the video from earlier on, was harassing him on the train. So we'll see what comes of that. But keep an open mind. There's two sides to every story there. So the next one, moving on. The UK have decided to finally say that Palestinian and Palestine is a sovereign state of its own. Keir Starmer addresses the nation as he announces the UK will recognise a Palestinian state in September.
On the 7th of October 2023, Hamas perpetrated the worst massacre in Israel's history. Every day since then, the horror has continued. The hostages are still being held today. The Palestinian people have endured terrible suffering. Now, in Gaza, because of a catastrophic failure of aid, we see starving babies, children too weak to stand, images that will stay with us for a lifetime. The suffering must end. I've always said that we will recognise a Palestinian state as a contribution to a proper peace process at the moment of maximum impact for the two-state solution. With that solution now under threat, this is the moment to act. So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognise the State of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire, and commit to a long-term sustainable peace, reviving the prospect of a two-state solution. And this includes allowing the UN to restart the supply of aid and making clear that there will be no annexations in the West Bank. Meanwhile, our message to the terrorists of Hamas is unchanged and unequivocal. They must immediately release all of the hostages, sign up to a ceasefire, disarm, and accept that they will play no part in the government of Gaza. And we'll make an assessment in September on how far the parties have met these steps. But no one should have a veto over our decision.
I mean, September is a good thing. Let's put that out there first. It's a good thing. It's a positive. Take your wins. The UK have been partly funding. I mean, a very minority of the funding has come from the UK in terms of the fighter jet engine parts or something like that. Whereas the US are giving Netanyahu $4 billion and the IDF in March to blow children up in Gaza. So, but they're both responsible. The West is responsible for funding what they're now claiming to go in and trying to be stopping. It's a problem, reaction, solution. There's that whole ideology and messianic agenda behind it that we often talk about that many others won't even mention. There's a reason for all this. So by September, I mean, what's going to be left? Why are we waiting till September to stop this? And even then, is that going to stop this just by recognising that it's a Palestinian state? What does that actually mean? What does it mean? Where are the borders going to be? There's so many more questions. Who's going to be in charge of that? Hamas, we know, was propped up by Netanyahu from the beginning. And the Times of Israel come out and say, it backfired on him. It didn't backfire on him. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to have done. It's got in and taken over the PLO, who are legitimately fighting back against the IDF, taking their place and put in a problem to be reacted later on. And October the 7th was, in my opinion, and many others, clearly allowed to happen. They had enough intel to stop that, and also the Iron Dome. Someone switched it off on the Sabbath, apparently. It's ridiculous from a logical sense that none of this has been orchestrated. So what this means, by September, it's going to be too late. The meeting of the European, I think it's I can't remember what the meeting is, but they're having a big meeting in Manhattan, New York on September the 9th, I believe. So we'll see what comes from that. But, too little, too late. It's all right going in there after the actual incident is done and you've paid for the demolition of it all and trying to save face at the end. Let's remember who these people are. The Zionist Israeli lobby has a huge impact, as we know. We've seen documentaries going back to 2016, I believe, about how they lobby the UK government. And who are they lobbying on behalf? Why? What ideology are they bringing in and what they're working for? You might not have the blatant link there to the likes of Chabad Lubavitch with US President Donald Trump and the fact that the ideology is clearly out on show there because they have the evangelical Christians to back them up. Not that many of them know that that's what's happening. But here in the UK, you can't quite be as open with it. So you're sending in the Zionists. The Zionist state was created, which is Israel today, by the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds bailed out Donald Trump via Wilbur Ross, who's a Jesuit. Donald Trump, being Jesuit, trained himself, as was Hillary Clinton, and Anthony Fauci as well. So it's more blatant over there in the US. Over here, it has to be done through different funnels, and they use the Zionist political arm to lobby the UK government. But the ideology behind it is the same. It's for a new world order, Olam Haba, world to come, and Greater Israel project. It's the same. It's just dressed up different. And if you look at how many Chabad facilities and churches, synagogues, whatever they want to call them, there's loads in London, in central London, all over the area of the City of London and the Borough of London and Outer London, Greater London. So it's there. It's just not as well documented, and it's hidden behind political Zionism. But the ideology is the same. So why now? It's too little, too late. But they're trying to save face. In my personal opinion, make of that what you will yourself. But speaking of Donald Trump, it's the last story for today. He's panicking, isn't he? So he's admitted that the reason him and Epstein fell out was because Epstein was apparently stealing his staff. One of the staff happened to be one of the young girls who was being abused and trafficked by Epstein, not by Trump. We have no evidence that Trump was doing that. So Virginia Giuffre, who recently passed in strange circumstances after a very strange car crash that didn't make any sense either, she was poached apparently by Epstein from Donald Trump, and he's openly admitting this, which is odd considering that she, Giuffre, was one of the ones that was the first one, I believe, to really hit the headlines and show what Epstein was actually doing. So Trump claims Epstein stole Prince Andrew accuser Virginia Giuffre from his Mar-a-Lago resort. I think his Mar-a-Lago resort is only like a 4-minute drive from one of Epstein's properties. Donald Trump has claimed billionaire paedophile Jeffrey Epstein stole prominent accuser Virginia Giuffre and other young women from his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. And that's why they fell out. They didn't really fall out, but, let's go along with that bit. Miss Giuffre became a household name after she sued Prince Andrew for sexual abuse in August of 2021, saying he had sex with her when she was 17 and had been trafficked by his friend Epstein. Now, Giuffre worked for Donald Trump, from what I can tell, when she was 16 years old. And she was handed over, no, apparently not handed over, to Jeffrey Epstein when she was 17, and Trump was annoyed because he stole her. Now, I mean, the lines of that doesn't really make any sense in terms of why would you be annoyed because he'd stole a member of your staff who was only 16, 17 years old at that time. Prince Andrew reached out an out-of-court settlement with Miss Giuffre, but has repeatedly denied the claims, has not been charged with any criminal offences. He also said he couldn't sweat. Mr. Trump made his remarks about Miss Giuffre as his administration has faced growing pressure in recent weeks, including from within his own MAGA base, to release files related to Epstein after he promised to do so during his 2024 presidential campaign. And they never do. They never did with JFK. Nothing new come out. The US president was speaking to reporters on Tuesday when he was asked about comments he made over the weekend about a falling out with Epstein over employees taken from his business. He says, "He took people that worked for me, and I told him, don't do it anymore. And he did it," Mr. Trump told reporters while on board Air Force One as he returned to the US from Scotland. "I said, stay the hell out of here, the US president added. So chucked him out of Mar-a-Lago, apparently, allegedly. Pressed about whether any of the employees he referred to were young women, Mr. Trump said many of them worked in his spa at Mar-a-Lago. So does that mean yes? The answer is yes. They were in the spa. Oh, yes, it is yes. He said, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was the spa or not spa, and he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. Asked if Miss Giuffre was one of the employees poached by Epstein, the US president replied, I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know, none whatsoever, which she didn't at all. But she was only 16 when she started and 17 when Epstein apparently poached her. It's all a very, very messy, dark area, isn't it? Trump clearly had a very close relationship with Epstein for a very long time. To believe that he had no idea what was going on, I think is ludicrous. I think anyone with the same mind thinks it's ludicrous. Doesn't mean that Trump was involved with any of it. But come on. Trump does have an island. Oh, not an island. He has a chateau on an island of St. Martin. It's not that far. It's about a 14, 13 minute plane journey from Little St. James. We tried to work that out yesterday in Seven Seas. A great researcher helped me figure out how far it was. And it was about 13 minutes to the neighboring island. And then from that island, you can get a short distance, 20-minute ferry ride over to where this chateau that Trump still owns today. It's been on sale for a while too. So there's all very close. Biden himself as well, to be fair. His brother owned an acre of land not too far away from Epstein's Island as well. Diddy was doing weird stuff on St. Bart's Island, which is also nearby, as well as the guy from Abercrombie and Fitch, the former CEO there, who was accused of trafficking young male models. There's something going on around there. People don't want to talk about it, and these guys are terrified you're going to find out. So keep digging, keep pressuring these guys. There's two things that Trump wants to go away. He doesn't want to be questioned on Gaza and his connection to these bad guys, this ideology behind it, and Israel and why they're doing what they're doing, which we know is about Olam Haba, the New World Order, the Greater Israel Project, King Ramses II, his kingdom. We know that. It's about their eighth day and their world to come. And he doesn't want to be pressured about Epstein and his connection. Now, Epstein was raised in a place called Seagate, right across the road from the Israel Knesset. Right across the road in a house there. Seagate is a gated community in New York. Again. These things all come together. And they have a large Chabad and Hasidic community in Seagate of itself. These things are connected. There was a reason why the Israeli Prime Minister, not Benjamin Netanyahu, one of the previous ones, was with Epstein a lot, and I believe on some of his flights as well, possibly on the island. I'd have to check that. These things are connected because these people are connected, and this conspiracy is all connected. So head over to shop.iconic.com and use the code trending for 10% off the coffee there. And I will see you tomorrow morning with more updates on the latest trending news. Take care. Goodbye.